Welcome to video number 2 of our simple watercolor holiday card making series. And right now we are going to stick with our blues and our blue tones in our watercolor backgrounds. Now this card here is very similar to the Christmas tree card that we made in our first video, only this one's obviously going to be snowflakes, and we're going to make this really cute little thumbprint snowman card together. Now for this one, I used some painter's tape around the edge so I could get that nice little edge around there. Again, not necessary. You could color from corner to corner on this one, or keep it kind of fun like this card over here. If you don't have any tape, that's totally fine. It's just a different style that I'm just offering to you so that you can decide for yourself. So let's get started. Just like the other cards, I love to use a variety of blues. So I'm going to just get getting my paintbrush wet, and I'm going to start to grab a whole bunch of different colors of blue and start wafting them on there. Now I love the deeper blues. And then one thing that I love to kind of create is a little bit of a deeper blue hue on one side. And I pull up and over. And as I move up and over towards the top, I'll add some lighter blues in. So I have a little bit of a kind of more of a sky blue on the top. And then I got this nice deep blue on the bottom. And the more you let your paints dry and layering them, the darker they get. So you can see here, the more I put those paints one on top of the other, the more deep and fun they get. And then the more lighter they get towards the top, it just makes it really fun. Now I'm just going to add a few little extra drops of water in there, and then I'm going to use my trusty red solo cup to lean my paper up against, and you can see it starts to drip a little bit. I'm not going to make it drip onto my other card here. You might want to put a napkin on there, but you can really have fun just letting the colors swirl and twirl together. Let some drippies happen so you can get these really fun little lines there. Another way to do that as well is our handy dandy hair dryer. So if I really wanted to get it going, check this out. Woo! Oh! Woo! And then I make a big mess, and you know how that goes, but you know, I just thought I'd show you how that works. I got it on my card here. Oh well. Okay, so next thing is next. So for this card, I'm just going to fill in every little inch of my card, even over top of the tape, so I get that nice stark line on my paper. And again, I am going to use a little bit of a lighter blue in and around the central area. So I'm going to use this nice light blue in the center, and then I'm going to use my nice dark blue around the edges, just to give it some more dynamic. Now, if you don't have the different color blues, you could take a little purple and add the purple in. That really works really well. It's a nice cold color. We want to keep our colors nice and cold for these projects, since we're working with our holiday winter themes. And we really want our snowman men, women, our snow people, let's just call them snow people. We really want them to pop on top of that nice dark background. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a few little extra layers of that dark blue around the corners. And check, I'm working so fast. I'm just scribbling about. And the more I add that dark to that bottom and corners up at the top, you can see that it really starts to get this nice lighter color at the top and nice darker color around the bottom. I'm going to just add a little bit dark. And I can always take some extra water and swirl those colors together. Get it nice and mixed in. And Since we're waiting for both cards to dry on this one, I am going to go ahead and grab my handy dandy hair dryer and finish off the job. So like I said in my previous video, in video number 1, because this is video number 2, you don't need a hair dryer to let these dry. They actually dry really, 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 really fast. Maybe 5 minutes and you're ready to start again. So if you want to hang out and just let these dry, I'm going to move these out of the way so I don't blow them off the table. And it's cool because when you use your hair dryer to dry up your papers, it starts to move around the paint and you can get some really cool textures. All right, see, it doesn't take that long. It just takes a second to get that going. And it really depends on your preference. So when I look at both of these cards, I feel, I really like this one, but I feel like this one could use just a little something extra. So I'm gonna go ahead and just give it one more coat and scribble some extra blues on top here. If you love yours already, just leave it. You don't have to listen to me. You can just leave it the way it is. But I'm going to do this once over, and then I can let this dry while we work on our snowman painting. Perfect. Okay. So that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to add a little extra texture and some extra just one little extra coat of paint on there. I'm going to let that dry right next to my thing here. And I am going to grab my trusty plate that has a little bit of my acrylic craft paint on it, my little bit of white here. You really don't need a lot for this. And first things first, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to you can use, I like to use my index finger and my pinky finger for this. I use my index finger for the bottom and second thing, and I go and I just put a little pinky poke right on top for my snowman there. If you check it out, you can see there's just 3 little fingerprints right at the bottom, and they're getting rained in snow, and it's so cute. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab a nice little tip of paint, not too much, just a little bit on my fingertip, and boom, boom. And if it's not enough, like, it's okay to see a little bit of the fingerprint in there, but I do like to cover it up a little bit. And then I grab my pinky finger and boom, right at the top. I push a little harder for this guy, boom. A little less hard for this guy, boom. And if you need to bump while you're doing this, go ahead. I do the bump de bump. I do the bump de bump. All right. 1, a 2, a 3. 3 prints to get to your snowman characters. Snow person, I should say. Snow people characters. Perfect. So while I let my snowman dry, I'm sorry, I'm just going to keep saying snowman. Saying snow people is way too hard. I am going to grab probably one of my smaller paintbrushes. So I have my couple smallest paintbrushes here, and I love using the wooden end of my paintbrush handle to create the snow in the background. Now, some snow I love to splatter on there and have a lot of fun. This one's a little bit more particular. And I like to place my snow a little bit more. So I just dip my stick into my white paint, and I'm going to start by adding some bigger snowflakes that come down. They're a little bit more sporadic. They're not all up in, nowhere. But what I do try and do is I leave the concentration of snowflakes up at the top. And as I work my way down, they get fewer and fewer. So they kind of start to drift out as I start to reach the bottom of my painting. So it's nice to get a good base in there first. And then I can really start to fill in these little cracks up here. So I'll push my brush handle onto the paper, 4, 5, maybe even 6 times if there's enough paint on there, and just let it fade out. So once it doesn't push paint anymore, I go ahead and reload. And that's how I get all these little dots. So I have some bigger dots and some little dots in there. And you get all these different styles and textures and widths of your snow for your snow people. Snow people, snow people. They're living in the snow. Snow people, snow people. Do 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 do. Okay. Now I try and avoid the tops of my snowman heads because I got real close there, and that's why I'm saying this, because I want to be able to draw their little hats and faces on. So if my snowmen don't dry in time, so they look pretty wet still, and I need them to be dry to paint or to draw their little features on them, okay? So I'm going to leave that be. I'm going to go ahead and grab my other card, which by the time I'm done that one, it's already dry. That's the best part about watercolors. It's so fun because it dries so fast. And the hardest part about this is choosing what direction I want my card to go in. What direction is it? I think I want it to go this way. It's hard to pick. And I am going to use my liner brush to grab some of that beautiful white again. And we are going to make a couple different snowflakes. All right. So the first one's going to be really big. It's going to take up the bulk of the side of our card. And I love to I start with a cross, then a crisscross, and then I V it up. So check this out. I start at the top and I make a nice line down. So this is my cross. And then I do a crisscross. So I make a nice X down the center. So that's a pretty good start. And then the way I embellish it is I make little V's on the tops. And wherever I make a V, I mirror it on the other end of my line. So if I make a V here, I'm going to make a V here. And so on and so forth. Just so that they have that balance that my beautiful snowflakes are looking for. Again, if I make a nice V here, I'm going to want another one right here. So I just continue to mirror, and you can create whatever kind of snowflake you want. There's all sorts of different kinds of snowflakes out there. Have fun with it. I'm going to put 2 more little lines on each one of these here too, just to fill it in a little bit more. I usually like to switch it up in the end. So I think that's a decent snowflake. I'm just going to leave it be like that. Okay? Now, a really simple snowflake is just some crisscrosses. So I can criss, cross, and then do the same in the middle. And just leave that be. Just a nice little starburst there, right in the center. And I'm going to make one more little snowflake down here. Same way, but just tiny. Crisscrossing all over the place. I'm going to add my tiny little V's to the ends of all of my lines. And you can get as detailed or not detailed with it as you want. It is 100% yours to choose. There we go. Perfect. Now, you could fill your whole card with snowflakes if you wanted to. I'd be super down with that. That sounds really fun, actually. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and do some more splatters because splatters are really fun. So I'm going to take some a nice paintbrush. I'm going to fill it up with some white and some water, and I can give it a few little flicks like this, or I can take my fingers and just flick it on. Just be careful. Now, it's really easy to go overboard when you're flicking paint onto something because it's really fun to do, but it's really messy, and sometimes less is more. So, you know, go to town, but be mindful, and you don't want your whole card to turn white with because you just had so much fun flinging white paint onto it, okay? So our card number 1 is done, and I'm going to check on the status of number 2. So I can see here, it's just not ready. My fingerprint droppings were way too thick. Well, not too thick, but excuse me, they're going to need some of my hand dry and love. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my head dryer and just get in there. That should do the trick. Yep, pretty good, pretty good. And just to give it that one extra second, I'm going to go ahead and take the tape off my sides. And it just, I love the feeling of the reveal of seeing those cool crisp edges on the side of my, to make that nice border on there. Ooh, that's crispy. I like it. I like it a lot. And I need to grab my pen. Oh, here it is. And each snowman's going to have just their own little tiny hats and faces. So you can put all sorts of different hats. Now, on my original here, I tried to give this guy like a little toque, but I didn't really love it in the end. So I think I'm just going to stick to some top hats with tiny little faces. Look. And little buttons and little arms. I love how simple this can be. So, little line, the little top hat on top. A couple little dots for his eyes. And a little carrot-shaped nose. So simple. Now you can make the hats different sizes, so I can make this guy like a nice tall hat. This little carrot nose too. And I just push my pen onto the paint and it shows up pretty good. Ta-da. I give this guy just a small little hat. And I'm just going to give him a button nose with his buttons and his little arms. And there we go. We have the Three Wise Snowman in card form, ready to give to whomever you choose. I hope you enjoyed video number 2 of our simple watercolor card making series. And just get ready. We are going to throw lots of color in video number 3. So keep it rolling, finish up, and stay tuned for the next video. Bye!